Okay, I don't see. Hi, Amanda. All right, unmute. I've got Amanda and Sarah.
Yes, and Andreas can control it.
Did you send us?
Oh, you're not here.
Well, I thought you would want to
Yeah.
do that.
I don't know what to tell you. Why don't you just hang up or undo it and try it again? I've got Matt and I've got Sarah, or I did have Matt. Let's see. Okay.
Let's see if I,
Oops, you
oh,
be
Yeah,
very careful.
there you are.
Very careful.
what happened?
Ask Karen.
Yeah. Okay, there you are. See it. Okay, we can get up.
I know. Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Hi, guys.
Hi, everybody. Where's your face?
Oh, I went away.
Me?
Just there.
Will you stop?
There you are. Oh, nice hair.
Yeah, I just got out of the shower.
Hi, Michael.
How we doing?
We're good. Alice, your video's off, it says.
Yeah, you don't need me on, do you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't need to see me, do you?
No.
You need to see me either, Alice, but hey. So, what happened to your beautiful backdrop?
I decided to take the challenge of using my own computer.
All right.
Oh, I like your kitchen.
Back to Back to reality.
All right, who's coming in? Oh, did John figure this out?
John Hoffman, John Hughes.
John Hughes?
Where's everybody?
John, if you can hit a button that says video at the bottom, maybe we can get your picture. I'm not sure, maybe he has just a phone.
John Guest. He's been unmuted. Let me just ask to unmute.
He may just come up here. He's downstairs, so.
Okay.
Here's Jen. We almost got you on.
I could hear you.
You can.
Jen, are you?
All right, so, you know, probably in an hour, kind of come up. Is that okay?
Yep.
All right, thanks, John. It might be sooner and I'll just run down.
Lizzie, you can't be doing that.
Oh, that's gonna work, Matt. Yeah.
All right, there's Don.
With him.
Yay.
Come here, you.
Yeah,
Everybody.
Hi.
there.
We can hear you.
Good. What is the yay? Yay,
Oh.
yay, you can hear me or?
Seeing your face is a yay. Oh, and there's a little face.
There I have it,
Hi.
Hi.
That must be Judy. I'll let her in.
Wait, yo, hi.
Rory, who's that?
Yeah, there you go. Good wave. Yeah. Hi. Hi, everybody.
She's adorable.
We love her. We'll keep her around.
I can see why.
That's why babies are cute. So you keep them.
That works.
Does. Although she's playing with my power cord now, so you might not have me around for too long.
Oh, God.
But Judy, we don't get to see your forehead tonight?
Oh my gosh, do I have to? My hair, hasn't been done since February.
All right. No, you don't have to if you don't want to, Judy. That forehead. We missed that forehead.
All right. I think we're just waiting for,
There it is.
Yeah, that's what we were waiting for, Judy.
Okay, we have Sarah, we have Matt.
No, Rory?
Is everybody here? Don?
everybody but Rory is here, and Jen Chase is here, and Michael Cooper's here.
Who's
Where's
John?
John
John
is John Hughes.
Oh, okay. He's here too then.
Yep.
No Rory tonight though?
Well, I think we have a Rory tonight. Hold on. Let's, we'll wait a couple minutes.
Oh, okay.
Just gonna say, depends on what road he's on right now with his car.
You guys should see the community garden. It is going nuts. It's really beautiful.
Well, my
The
wife,
vegetable garden.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
vegetable garden. Great.
yeah. It looks fabulous.
out of all her cut flowers.
Oh,
Wow,
gorgeous.
beautiful.
Lizzie? I'm not muted. I'm muted.
Well, come on, Rory, where are you? Jen, are you outside? Oh, great.
I am outside and my kids are playing, so I thought I
Oh.
would keep myself on mute so that
Oh,
way.
that's good. Okay. We won't hear the
That way you
scream.
don't hear that. But when it's my turn to talk, I'll be
Okay.
able to.
Well, maybe I'll do you guys mind if I renumber this and we'll just get Jen and Michael on first?
Perfect.
Okay. Well, it's 7 o'clock. I think we should call the meeting to order and hopefully Rory will come on. And we're just starting to record, so great. I would like to call this meeting to order of the Town Board Workshop meeting, July 13th. And we will just cut right to the chase and go to the chase. So Jen, what we're going to go to number 4 on the agenda, which is just the summer camp beach recreation update.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
So I just want to say I'm really excited to be able to be on tonight because in such a crazy time, I think it's really important that we all communicate with so much going on down at the beach and the camp. So far, it's been really wonderful. Kids are happy, they're smiling. We're not at max capacity of 50. We're like hovering around 38, 42, which I know for any of you who have been down there and seen it, it's a good start. It's a good amount. The beach has lots of beachgoers. We're continuing to have a little bit of issues with the water due to the geese. And Sarah and I had a conversation the other day. Maybe even the overgrowth is causing some of that. So maybe looking into what we can do about that would be good. But otherwise, we're full speed ahead. We're doing all the protocols, following all the regulations. The health department and I are now even on a texting basis like every day. So yeah, it's good. Michael and I met yesterday. We are going to start swim lessons next week. So that will be going out hopefully tonight. I spoke with Michael's assistant today about posting that stuff on the recreation Facebook page. So, you know, as long as I can get the registration flowing and everything working tonight, I didn't want to do that before this meeting. Yeah, so that's a good sign. We'll start small. We'll just have 2 groups of 10 or less, you know, for 2 half-an-hour lessons a week. Anybody have questions for me or what's happening?
I just want to see how really spectacular it is to have the camp going, and really a huge credit to the work that has been done. The beach looks fabulous,
It does.
and are just having a wonderful time. So it's really very exciting. I am just a little troubled by the condition of the plant life in the lake. I know that's really not your guys' issue at all, but it's something that I'm concerned about, and maybe we should discuss it separately, differently. But anyway, otherwise, it's just so exciting to, and our beach facility is really a wonderful facility. And then to have the Lions Club right there across the road just works very, very well. We're lucky as can be.
We're super lucky, but you know, I've been keeping my eyes open, and all of the water areas around us are in that same situation. I as far as I can tell, like even that all of the water in between Pine Plains and Ancramdale is all lily pads and overgrowth and just barely any water. So I don't know if it's the weather and just, I don't know what's happening, but it is.
Well, also the lake that you go by on the road near Wilcox Park has never had more lily pads in it also. And I really think it's probably a region-wide, if not a statewide issue, and it needs maybe to be dealt with on a broader basis with expertise, because, you know, I don't know anything about what the real science of it is or the real situation is. It's a big issue, and that facility is an incredible asset to this town. So
yeah. So maybe we can all try to look into that. And if anybody has any contacts or knows even where I could start looking into that, I could try to at least contact somebody. I just don't even know where to begin, you know?
I
So
think this isn't the Stissing Lake Association kind of on top of this. They just did a study.
so maybe I should try to contact somebody.
Yeah.
From Stissing Lake Association. Yeah.
I can give you all those contact numbers, and I know that they just found, now the name of it will escape me. Is it milfoil?
Yes.
Yeah.
They didn't we get I think we got an email in the last couple of weeks that they had found that in Stissing Lake for the first time.
There was also water chestnuts found in Stissing Lake for the first time.
Yeah.
And they're very good, and they probably came over from Mud Pond, because they're in Mud Pond too.
Right.
Island Pond.
Aggressive. So that is something that we should,
There's another issue, which is that apparently the boats really need to be washed before they go in the lake. If you go from one lake to another, and we don't have any provision for dealing with that. Again,
Right.
it's not your issue, but
Right.
it's our issue.
right.
But that brings the invasive weeds.
Yeah. And then the other thing is the geese. And, from what I can tell in talking with the health department, this is something that hopefully next year I can be on top of, like, April, because March, April is the time to really deal with them to try to keep them from landing there and staying there, right away in spring. Now they love it. It's like the perfect place for them. And I can't get them to go away. So I did contact the highway garage. Even I know the snow fencing, we know, we've heard it doesn't work, but I'm just willing to try anything. Like, just even if it works for a week and then we take it down, like, I don't care. They relayed that they don't have any of that stuff. So that'll be what I'll work on this week. So just anything, because they just are so aggressive. So,
What- And dogs down there in the early spring to help, like, because the dogs will chase them off and go, but like when the beach opens up, then don't permit the dogs. But if we can have a constant thing of, like, because people pay the people to bring dogs on golf courses to keep.
yeah, I've actually been encouraging several people that I know with dogs to go down there early morning, including myself,
One
just
thing
to
is we
try to
have
get them out.
dogs.
Yeah. So, but it's not working. They're not scared. They leave for 5 minutes and come back. So, so I'll be definitely more aggressive with that next year. So yeah, but any other questions about the camp or the beach or the soccer? Mike's probably going to talk about this, but the soccer program was down there today, and that guy was really amazing. And I actually encouraged him that if he had anybody who really needs to use the bathroom to just come in and use the Lions Club, and I would clean afterwards because the bathroom is kind of far from them. And also the picnic tables that are in the shade. I thought that would be a nice break in this hot weather. So, yeah, so we're working together, but I'm sure Michael will talk about that. But
What are the ages you're looking for the swim lessons?
so the ages that we're looking at are 4 through about 10 or 12. So what we'll do is we'll bring them down, we'll separate them into 2 groups, and then the 2 girls will be down there, and we can assess their swim level or where they're starting at on the first day, which will be Monday, like a week from today. And of course we can have late joiners. It's really hard because I was speaking with Darren and Michael, it's summer, so we have to do this now, but we didn't have any, we weren't able to set this up too much earlier because people couldn't take their courses and stuff. So, but anyway, they'll assess them and then they'll put them into 2 groups based on what they already know. And there'll be 2 of them on. So that way, if they have a group of 10 and they have, let's say we have 10, children that are between the ages of 4 and 6, and they have various swim levels, the 2 girls can work with them a little bit separately in 2 different groups. So that way they can cover the skills to move them forward with their levels.
Awesome.
Great. At this time, Jen, can we do finalize the approvals for the specialty counselors and group counselors and recreation assistants?
Oh, that would be great if we could do that.
Okay, I sent
what we
this
needed
to
to-
everybody.
Yeah, what we
make
needed to
a motion
approve
that
was
we
the
approve that.
minimum wage and then the 1 lifeguard and the 1 rec assistant that,
Okay. So those are the ones in the bold that on that sheet that you got.
So I'll make that a motion to approve them. If
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Matt and Sarah?
Aye. Yes.
And then we need to approve, we need to approve the minimum wage to $11.80.
I make a motion to approve the minimum wage.
Why do we do that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, isn't that just what
We
it is?
have to do it. It's just a difference. It's going to be a difference in the salary lines.
So I'll make that motion to adjust the wage or set the minimum wage.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Sarah, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.
If you want to go take care of your kids.
No, that's okay. I'll stay on for, I want to
All
make
right.
sure it's your recreation.
Great. Okay, Michael?
Yeah, so right now, programs we have going on, I had field cleanup last week. We tidied up the fields a little bit, and currently we're hoping that we'll be able to have a fall softball and baseball program starting in August. People have until the end of July to sign up on Family ID. And right now we're at about 40 people signed up, which is pretty good. I've talked to some other leagues. They're not quite at that number and stuff like that. And so as we get closer to the end of July, we'll be able to make some decisions and find out what teams in our area exist and that we can play against. Also, I'm not sure if everybody got my email, but I sent pretty much just a synopsis of, what I've learned and how things have been operating since I started as a rec director. I don't know if you guys have that readily available, but some of the topics I talked about was, just the general budget that I have, what we're doing with the beach, stuff about the rec committee, background checks in terms of volunteers for our sports teams and coaching, and then just the chain of command in terms of, we have this big apparatus, and at the end of the email, I kind of have that little flow chart of, kind of all the stuff that we do in recreation and all of those people that we look at. And I just want to make sure what I've learned over the past year is accurate, and, we can look at kind of some stuff that we want to hammer out and make sure it runs the best for, ourselves and the community.
Michael, it seems to me that this is the stuff of a meeting just on these things. These
Okay.
items.
Well, yeah, that's why I just wanted to put it out there. But if there was any topic that we felt was, super pressing or something that we really weren't sure about, I could address any of those things now. I like to think I did an okay job of articulating some of the stuff that I learned and stuff like that. But if there are any, kind of questions about things, I can answer those as well. But right now it's just, like I said, I went over the programs and then that. So that's pretty much what's happening with recreation.
But it was a good email, Mike. It was informative of what you learned and everything, and like how you want to take it to the next step and like continue on and leave it for the next person to be able to just come in and know what's going on. So I thought it was very informational. So yes.
I did too, and I thought that maybe the most pressing thing at the moment was sort of the rec committee and how that's chosen. But again, is this something that we should just maybe sit down, maybe with Matt and possibly Jen and the 3 or 4 of us figure out exactly what this would look like?
Yeah, I mean, my thing with the committee is, there really isn't any kind of structure to it. And I know other committees have, you have to come in and you have to do some training because you're acting on terms of the town. Also, unfortunately, I would say we have a relatively high turnover rate. We have individuals who express desire to join and then, they end up not really staying for long or not really coming. And I just think there's some things, and I detailed it in there, that I think would make it better and more welcoming. I've actually talked to a couple people who are interested in getting involved. And even just setting, a concrete number for the amount of people on it. Also, having kind of terms so that way there, after a certain amount of time, if somebody really wants to stay on it, they reapply. And if they don't, then we can bring in somebody new who wants to do stuff. Because I really want it to be as organized as possible, because then they can help me and I can help them, and we can, you know, better serve the community. So like I said, I mean, there's some stuff, I guess, as a board, you guys would have to look at in terms of, you know, setting terms for how long people are there, or if that already exists. Because like I said, I mean, there is no really structure that I'm aware of. And, you know, we've just kind of been, when I joined the committee 2 years before I became director, we just kind of showed up. There really was, it was just like almost, it was a meeting, but it's very informal. And I'd like to just bring more structure to that, so that way there, you know, we can do more, and it's easier to interact with the public and the people we serve. So
I think having a written piece like this is extremely useful. And I just read through it once, but I want to go and read it more carefully and think about the different areas that you have raised. It's just, I really commend you for having given us this help. With
and the one thing too with that is, you know, I mean, I ended up being on the committee, like I said, in the past. And then, you know, as I got in, one thing that to me was kind of interesting is how we select new committee members. And the way it's done is, you know, somebody would apply, they'd send their letter of interest to the town board, and then that gets passed on to the rec committee. And then the rec committee would decide if they think that person should be or shouldn't be on it. And then it gets moved on to the board to, you know, approve it finally or whatever. And I think I don't think it makes sense for a committee to choose who's going to be on that in continuation. And, you know, it's worked so far, and it's, you know, the way it's been run. But I just think down the road, it makes more sense, instead of just letting people who all have the same vision kind of just maintain the status quo. We're able to then let somebody like the town board, who is elected by the people, select somebody who is an interested candidate, and then we get more diverse ideas, you know, in the mix there. So instead of it being decided on by the committee itself, who's a part of that committee, I think it would be more appropriate for the board to, you know, decide, okay, this person reflects.
In my experience, Mike, those names were brought to the rec department. The rec department set those up, and then they went to the board. I don't think those names were ever given to the board first.
Yeah.
And then have us ask you guys to interview them or whatever to do that. Of what I've known, like of the people that came in, I never saw them come through the town board like before. Like I saw them at a meeting, you guys, or like Catherine or you present saying we would like this person. Like I don't think that I mean, to my knowledge, I don't think that that's how it was done. I thought that they always went to the people that were scheduled for some of those that I was there, like they were scheduled straight through the rec department, not like I never heard of them coming through like our email or at the board.
Exactly. And like, that's one of those things that I think we should look at and consider changing, because, you know, they're going to be representing, you know, recreation as well as the town. And, you know, like I said, if I were, you know, somebody who just wanted everything my way, I would just put people that I agreed with or that other people on the committee agreed with, and then everything would be the way I wanted it. And I think it's important to make sure there's kind of a check that we're not just all, you know, doing it one way, because, you know, things change over time. And like I said in the email, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it might be a different director, and, you know, they might want to try something new, and the input they're getting is, you know, not really fresh or doesn't really apply to the current situations. So I think in doing it where, you know, the board just says, hey, this person's on the committee, and then work together and figure it out, I think that's perfectly acceptable to expect of adults. When I was looking at this stuff and thinking about it, I talked to my dad, he was on the town board, and he said back in the day, like some members on the committee, when they were putting them on the committee, because I'm not sure if it was different the way they did it back then, but there were some people who it was like, you know, they might not be recreation experts, but they're citizens in town and they have a unique perspective. And so it's important that, you know, they approve that specific individual. And so like, those are the different things that I think it should be for the board to look at, because like I said, I mean, you know, you guys are also part of the community that experiences recreation. And I think having somebody who's really wanting to be a part of it should have no problem, you know, sending that application. And then other towns, they stagger the years that the people serve. I'm not sure how you guys would want to do that. I have several ideas or variations that I've heard of other things. But I just want that to be kind of looked at, because like I said, that structure could be improved so then it supports, you know, our mission in terms of recreation.
And you also want to get people who have a real skill and something to offer onto that committee. And you want people to feel like they have a real chance of getting on the committee if they want to, and that it's not an exclusive group of people. So you
Yes,
want to
I mean, I've talked to candidates who were interested in people that I've just said, like who are my age. I said, hey, you're back in town, like, you know, you're musically inclined. Is there any way we can do, you know, something involving, you know, performance-based stuff? Because that's still a form of recreation, as well as I've talked to some people that were coaches of mine or that are older in the community, and, you know, they do golf and other things. And, you know, that might be an avenue that we pursue, you know, so I definitely think it's better to do that. And maybe they don't want to be there, you know, for the entire year, or, you know, they might have other commitments, but I think it's important up front to say, hey, this is how many times a year we meet. This is what we do. And, you know, if your expertise is this area, we want you, because a lot of this stuff too is every person we bring on has a network already in existence, and they might know different people who can help them accomplish that goal, as opposed to just, you know, one person like myself saying like, oh, I know this guy, but I don't know anybody else in that same kind of realm. And so I think the more people we get in and do that kind of stuff, I think the better it is. And then also, you know, set a size for the committee. Right now we have 5 members that are currently active. And I personally think that, you know, 7 total would be a good number, just because that gives good input. And I mean, we offer, you know, several different disciplines of recreation-based stuff. And, you know, 7 people should be able to get together in a room and make some extra stuff happen for the town. So that's kind of what all those different things I was looking at.
I think there's a lot of really great ideas in it. And if we could just sit down and hammer it out for an hour or two, you know, I don't think it would.
And like I said in my email, my phone actually just broke. I'm getting a new one this week. But if you want to call me or anything, and like, you know, I've got a pretty flexible schedule. It's busy but flexible. And, you know, if any of you guys wanted to meet up either at the rec park, we'll do a walkthrough and, you know, talk about the different things and stuff like that. I'm open to do that.
Michael, just some quick comments that I made. And I think some of our problem is the organization of our rec department. I mean, on your 3rd page, you have everybody reporting to the town board. You've got the camp director, beach director, and recreation director. It confuses me, for one thing, because I would rather everything went through you, through the recreational director. Everything should go through you, all the billing, everything else, but you are the liaison to the town board, not to have, you know, not to have 3. Now, going further in, and you had a suggested table of organization, which I find a little bit confusing. Again, I would like to go back to the idea that the town board, then the recreation director The committee's off to the side because I think they're just strictly an advisory board to you or to everybody that's in recreation. And I'd also like to see the senior recreation brought in under your wings. You know, that's something that seems to be just kind of flying out there by itself, but it is originally intended to be part of our recreation department. But as I say, anything that deals with the recreation budget or whatever, I really think should come through one person
Got it.
and everybody else is underneath you. I mean, that takes away from your field time, your time and actually doing that, but we're looking for the organizational skills.
And that's exactly why I kind of made that flow chart.
Mhm.
On that final page,
Yep,
the black arrows
yes,
are the dispersal of funds.
right.
So like when the town, and this was just the way, you know, I've kind of perceived it so
Mhm,
far.
mhm.
It kind of builds upon that first document is, you know, the town board approves that budget and then appoints the camp director or the beach director. And that person would then execute the spending of that budget line item.
Right, but
And
my feeling is still, I would like to see one person, right? You know, that all funnel through one person. And this is my individual opinion, but that's what kind of what I was looking.
and that's exactly why I put this out there, so everybody could talk about it and we could kind of hammer
Right.
out what works best. I also included in that second flow chart those blue lines.
Mhm.
That kind of talks about my oversight and, you know,
Right,
like if I were to go down to the beach and like, let's say a picnic table was broken, I would then tell the beach director, hey, like I noticed this little thing here.
Mhm.
Is this something that you can fix? And together we would troubleshoot it
right,
and, you know, do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if they had an expense or something that they wanted to, you know, purchase or try, if they were appointed by the board, I think it would be because they had the ability to make that decision. But I also understand because one of the things is what I noticed is I'm friends with a previous beach director, and when he went to do programs and different things,
Mhm.
he was pretty much told no, even though the money for the beach was kind of appropriated that way. And so a lot of their programs and stuff that they wanted to try kind of got shut down. And so I think giving a director of, let's say, the beach, because the beach is a big organization and there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of health department requirements. I think them having the freedom, because they're the ones in the ground doing the majority of the work as per their duties, that they should be able to do that. And then myself as a director, I can then kind of guide them and give them the feedback that they need in terms of staying on track. But, you know, I think they should also have the freedom and locus of control to make some decisions. I mean, if not, like I said, I'm also fine with, you know, overseeing all of that, which is part of my job. And I do go down there and I do
Mhm.
mention any concerns I have to Jen in terms of that.
Right.
I think the other problem though is then, you know, with the seniors, Don,
Yeah,
there's a difference between the seniors and the adult rec. And the seniors are folded under the adult rec line. And there's quite,
you
Michael,
just said there's a difference between, and yet they are.
well, that's what I'm saying. There is a difference between running the seniors programs, which my office has taken on because it was impossible for a rec director to monitor that. They can't go on the trips. They can't set up the trips. Most of the senior activities are trips.
And one of the things is too,
Take up a lot of time too. That's not like Mike's pay to do all the senior trips and
Yeah.
senior activities. Like that's a more like, intel position, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, it's Alice and I have been doing it. Lori and I did it. Kathy and I did it.
and in the past, we did have a committee member who's heavily involved in that. And for personal reasons, they kind of stepped away from that. And, you know, this was all happening as I had come in. And so you know, I was never really given that. And that's why I also included those line items that technically fall under recreation, so they'd be a part of that discussion. I think what's going to help me, if, you know, the board decides that I do need to take more of that hands-on approach with adult rec, I think the fact that I now have an assistant will help me do that kind of work. So,
Yeah,
I
but
mean, that's why I included everything. And, you know, I wanted to make sure it's out there so all of us can make the best decisions for the programs.
Okay.
So that, I mean, that's kind of what I have there. And like I said, I kind of came into it, and, you know, me coming from, you know, coaching, teaching, actually running and managing programs, and also doing, you know, private clinics and stuff like that. As I went through this experience and learned the stuff, you know, I noticed there were still some things that I didn't fully understand or grasp. And that's why I figured, you know, it's something I should just put out in the open and, you know, make sure that I'm doing what is expected of me, and then, you know, kind of giving my best foot forward in terms of my experience and knowledge. So.
And the other comment I wanted to make is you were looking for office meeting space. Well, that was actually set up by the previous boards or previous whatever iterations as that office upstairs in the community center. And there's no reason for you to have to make an appointment with anybody to use that office upstairs. And I would make that a motion at the formal meeting if necessary. But I really do think that you should take that office over as the official recreation office.
And that was the thing, is because I came in and there are programs that exist and use, and the library is that community center space. Right. And, you know, I noticed that, like, I didn't feel comfortable keeping recreation papers and documents and stuff in an office that, you know, could potentially be used by another group. And, you know, I don't want to assume the worst, that someone might dig through it, but, you know, not having that secure space, you know, that's
why that secure space was designated for the recreation office.
Okay.
And you had exclusive point. I mean, again, if that's something that has to be reaffirmed at a town board meeting, I will definitely be there to help you reaffirm that.
Well, I'm having a little bit of a problem with that because we have Weight Watchers and we have a lot of storage in there.
Well, I'm sorry, Dara, that's the way it was originally intended. And I would go back to that. I mean, a lot of things have changed that were changed improperly.
Nobody was using it. And so I think that you could say it's improper, but nobody was.
Another thing I could, you know, suggest along those lines is right now, and I really appreciate it, is our wrestling program's able to use the library basement. And I mean, it's also used for storage for some other things, but, you know, I don't mind as long as there is a spot where I can have a meeting and invite people. And I mean, even if the basement, the rest of it became just for recreation and that bottom floor was kind of the recreation space, I could work with Tom Strudwick, who runs our wrestling program, and, you know, set up a corner there where it's currently storage. But I also know, you know, we would have to discuss that with the library because they use that as storage. But like I said, I'm very flexible, but I also do think it is something, you know, that would be helpful because, like I said in my email, I could do office hours, I could do different things that kind of put me forward and help do programs.
As long as it's used, I could support that, but it, you know,
and that was like, I'll move in there, you know, immediately. So, I mean, like I said, it was just one of those things that at the time, like when I was on the committee, we had our meetings there, you know, once a month, and then it was used by other programs. And then when I kind of came in, you know, I didn't really want to disrupt, and I probably should have been a little bit more assertive initially, but, you know, I didn't want to disrupt what we had going on because people take advantage of those programs. And so, you know, I just figured I'd put it out in the email now, and so we could talk about it.
All right. So I do think that this necessitates, I don't know, like a sit down just to work out the ideas about the structure and things like that. And I'm assuming, Matt, you want to be part of that.
I will, sorry, I'm on mute so you guys can hear me, please.
Okay. So should we just say that for now, we'll make a meeting, a serious like 2-hour meeting to work these things out? And it will be at least Matt and you, if not one other board member.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm open to meet everybody at whatever. Like I said, my schedule's pretty flexible. Because I also think it's my job as the director to keep you guys informed of what's happening. Maybe instead of updating it, you know, I did it only once this year to kind of give you that. But I'll try and do that more frequently, maybe every 3 months or stuff. So that way you're in the loop a bit more in terms of recreation. So that way we can continue to improve it.
Okay. All right. So Matt, I'll get a hold of you and we'll set up something. And then if any, yeah,
That needs to then come back to the board.
yeah, yeah.
so that
Oh,
we
yeah.
Understand what the, how the issues are sought to be resolved, particularly
Absolutely.
the issues of the use of that space in that small room upstairs.
Yeah.
Because it seems like that small room is a good place for you to have your office, and the issue is what else is in there and how are those programs going to be accommodated so that we can continue those programs and still give you that space so you can use that space as you see fit.
And there's a second room up there too that, under my impression, is for the seniors and stuff like that. And so, you know, there are those 2 carve out areas. And I don't really know in terms of that, what that second room adjacent to it is entirely. But like, that's another thing too. I'm totally on board with that and kind of looking at how we can do it. And also, like I said in my email, if we were to, you know, spruce up some parts of the concession stand building down at the ball fields or something like that down the road as a rec kind of office or something, you know, like I'm open to anything. I just think, you know, me being able to schedule some form of office hours would be helpful for the public who has concerns about programs or wants to get involved.
That makes a lot of sense.
Great. Okay.
Very good.
All right. Anything else for rec, beach, or camp?
We still have a minimum crowd size that we have to enforce.
Well, we've been working at half capacity just on our own. And the only crowd capacity is 50 that we can find any rules about.
What about the beach?
The beach is the same.
It's
Well,
50 people.
The beach is 75.
75.
Because it's
Okay, how
50%
are-
capacity, and so we can allow 75 patrons.
Right.
And the camp is also 50% capacity, and we can allow 50 campers.
What's the beach look like on a weekend?
So
Do we
this
have the limit?
weekend, yep, it's 75 people can come.
What is it? What are we seeing down there? though?
So on Saturday and Sunday, on Saturday, remember there was the storm brought, you know, that came in and we closed early, but there were 10 people there. And on Sunday, there were 25. The weekend before that was a holiday weekend. And this is with people coming and going.
Mhm.
On one of the days, there was, I think, 48 people there. So that's pretty amazing. I don't know if we've had those numbers before, but they weren't all there at the same time. But I developed a log so that way I could, if you'd like me to, I could present to you the time slots that they came and gone. But there weren't 49 people there all together at one time. But throughout the day, there were 49
I'm just trying to weigh from the number of cars I see in the parking lot, how many people that might be down there, but.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people park there and go fishing or walk the lake.
Yeah,
and that stuff.
okay.
All right.
I think it's a great idea to keep a log
Yes.
in case there's an issue
That's
over
brilliant.
how many people. I think it's a very good idea.
Yeah, and they've had a log in the past, but this one, even if they have a beach pass, we write the number right there and the time in and time out. Because if there's anything that comes up, I want to be able to take that paper and just call every person on the paper, you know,
Exactly.
and know
Exactly.
who crossed paths at what time.
Awesome. That's really good. And you want to be able to show that to somebody.
Exactly.
That you have
We
that.
also have a cleaning log, a sanitizing log. So that's also helps the kids stay on track, the employees stay on track too with their duties.
That's great.
All right. Thank you, you guys.
Thanks, you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yep. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. So I want to go back to the top of the agenda. I've gotten a wonderful response to the broadband committee. I sent you all the names and I sent you all of their resumes and letters of intent. It's an awful lot of people who really know their stuff about internet, and they've worked in internet companies. I think Paul Markham worked for Yahoo. Our own Mike Stabile had a lot more experience with that than I knew. So are there any questions? Oh, John Farrell may not be actually on the committee, but may serve just as a helper. He's not sure he's going to be around that much. So his name is on there, but he's, in terms of the committee, it's the first 7 people on the list. So that's Dr. Martin Handler, Paul Markham, Michael Stabile, Matt Finley, Jesse Bruckman, Matt Breimer, and Stephen Neal.
Seems like a great group.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Unfortunately, there are no women on that group.
Well, Jesse is.
Oh, I thought Jesse was a guy.
Nope. Nope.
Okay, good. Oh, that makes
Yeah.
They had experience with it, so, you know, I think it's a good group of people to have.
Yeah. Incredible. Could I have a motion?
Well,
Well,
Doc,
if-
the meeting-
before we do that,
Yeah.
Who's going to chair the group? Are we
Uh,
going to ask for a chair? Are we going to let them pick their chair? You know, how should we deal with that?
What do you want to do? I thought they should pick their own chair, but I don't have any.
I'm just raising it. I don't have any particular
Is there gonna
opinion.
be a board member that's down there?
Pardon?
Is there gonna be a board member like liaison to that group?
No one stepped up. So, I mean, I can be the liaison because,
I mean, this kind of interests me. I mean, if someone needs to go to meetings, take notes, I can do something like that too for this thing.
Or they can just report back to us. I mean, this is a very talented group of people.
yeah,
And I think they can do their work and report back to us. And I think that would be wonderful. And I think it's really terrific that we have identified these people that have some skill in the area. And the reason they're stepping forward is this is a really important topic for this town, for every town, for the country. It's really important. So if we do this right, it'll be great.
it's really important to the economic development here too.
Yeah.
I probably get a call, 2 calls a month about why don't we have broadband
Yes.
everywhere? And don't you understand what it means? And I was like, yes, I do. So, okay, so we would let them,
Should we let them pick their own, or is it better
Yeah.
for us to help them with it? Or is it gonna, I just don't know whether it will cause them difficulty in terms of picking. I know that Matt Finley is very capable of chairing such a committee.
yeah.
But I'm sure other people are too. I don't have an opinion.
What if I ask them?
Okay, that's cool.
Okay. All right, I'll ask them.
Fine. Perfect.
And do you need
Okay,
the
so
motion tonight, or should we do it at the meeting on Thursday?
you want the motion now?
I would love to have the motion now so we could, so I could get a meeting together for them.
Okay. I'll move that we include these, was it 7 individuals? Or
Yes.
8?
7.
7
Well,
individuals
well,
as our broadband committee.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. I will pull their first meeting together right away then. Then just to reinforce this need, I think I said this last meeting, but Dr. Handler told me that fully 10% of all the students here do not have internet. And that means 10% of our kids are behind already. And we don't know if the schools are gonna open. So that's huge. And I happen to know one college student who was writing papers on his iPhone in the parking lot of the library. And that's terrible. I invited him to be at town hall, but I think he was shy and library was closed at that point. So that brings me to I'm gonna skip again to the third item on our agenda, which is possible use of the community center as a student center. If, obviously broadband isn't going to be put down tomorrow. If the schools don't open, what do you think about, I think it's easy enough to set up the community center as a study center. We have high-speed internet there.
But the library has the high-speed internet, not the town.
Now the town does too.
The town does now?
Yeah, it's upstairs.
Okay.
And there are tables, you know, those long tables where people could be socially distant. They'd have to have their own laptop upstairs. So this is going to be for the older kids. The downstairs,
It has to be supervised.
I would think so. So that's what, yeah. I don't yet have an answer for that. One suggestion was maybe I could find a senior or some volunteer to go up there and we could figure out the hours, or maybe a parent would do it. We could figure that out. But I really wanted to know what everybody thought of that and whether I should just sort of try to look into setting it up and see what we can do.
Well, I mean, shouldn't we see what happens in the fall and like them going back?
Yeah,
to-
but I think we should be, yeah.
Prepare for it. No, I got you.
Yeah.
I mean, have you asked Dr. Handler about something like this? Like this
Yeah.
would be, you know, like maybe he could help out finding a volunteer as well, like somebody that could.
Yeah, he did not want to have anything to do with anyone being a volunteer there. This is all on us. But
I'd like to hear his.
Did he think it would be needed? Did he think it was
Yes.
something that to be done?
yes,
And is the school making additional hours available for students so they can come and use
their stuff.
internet? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't think they know because it's so up in the air as to whether they're going to open or not. I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll be able to do that, and
I
we
mean,
won't need this.
My guess is that we could get, I mean, how many, what kind of hours are you thinking of? Day hours, night hours, a variety of hours every day, 3 times a week? I mean, it
I
all
know.
depends.
All that,
you know.
we have to figure that all out. And it would depend on whether we could get volunteers to watch over it.
Yeah.
But if it's open and it's needed, it just seemed like something we might be able to handle.
I mean, is Bobby Lee gonna be cleaning that and sanitizing that like every time they're in and out? Because that adds to his workload.
Yeah.
You know, because that's an extra cleaning.
Well, but we have this choice, or we have 10% of our kids without internet, and I
You
just,
know, I mean, I think it's that, but I think we have to think about the things about how to keep it clean, how to keep
Yeah.
it safe, and
No,
like,
it's a big undertaking. It's not, yeah,
I mean, I would like to discuss it again, but I don't think that we should continue talking about it right now. We should just think about it and like bring it up again,
Great,
Okay.
right?
Makes-
okay. All right. Then back to number 2, Bethel Cemetery. So here's what's going on. I think you have some letters from a couple of the neighbors in Bethel.
Yeah.
And these trees, Heather went down to look at the trees. Don, did you get down there?
Yes, I did.
Okay, can you talk about it?
Well, they're just the old Norway maples that are dangerous. I mean, the one that they're most interested is in over the rose obelisk that stands up right up underneath the tree, and I definitely think they should be removed. If you look at the tax rolls, there's no ownership. And I think if you look at town law enough that if there's no ownership in it of the property underlying, it's the town's responsibility. Now, how far we want to take that or not, I don't know. It is on the road side of a boundary wall, which does kind of weaken Heather's argument a little bit. But I also haven't explored the fact if the utility companies would be involved or not. I believe they should come down just for the safety of that cemetery. Whether
Well,
or
Doc-
not the New York State Cemetery Association has any relief funds or grant monies or anything like that that might help us, I don't know.
And Don, were you also interested, there's a dead tree sort of on the,
Well, none of those are any
in the-
good.
but there's a totally dead tree in the cemetery.
Yes, I noticed that on the sort of basically on the southeastern boundary. Sticks
And
up
I am
as a
totally-
wall lesson.
I went by it. I'm totally in agree with you about the one that threatens the obelisk.
Yeah.
And
Um,
it's right next to the road. It's just on the other side of the cemetery wall. And I think we
Yeah.
really,
And all of those trees have been damaged through there. And Norway maples are notorious for being brittle. So, and that one has lost everything. So it's just a heavy arm that goes out over the cemetery. And the power company has cut them back far enough to really exacerbate the issue. That would be my first thought, is to ask the power company for some, help in that.
that's a good idea.
All right, so call Central Hudson.
And the New York State Cemetery Division Association, whatever they are, I don't know if they offer assistance to municipalities and, or even a historic preservation. That was quite a thing that Diane made up about the history of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was quite impressed with that.
yeah. Yeah,
But there are a couple avenues we should look at, but I do agree the trees should come down.
all right. Well, I can call Central Hudson tomorrow and see what they say. I don't know anything about the Cemetery Association.
The New York State Division of Cemeteries or something like that it's a
Okay.
New York State office.
They're not gonna have any money to spend this year.
Well, but they might have some suggestions and there might be grant money out there. But
Do-
Central Hudson would be the most expedient.
Oh, I think speed is probably of the essence,
Well,
don't you? I mean, they say that there's,
they've been that way for a long time.
okay. all
Yeah,
right.
and the foliage is very healthy this year.
Oh,
Which
okay,
is unfortunate.
The
yeah.
foliage is excellent.
I get it. Okay, so, all right, it's not like a nightmare that I have to worry about overnight.
No, it's not urgent.
All right,
Well, it is. I mean, you could have a thunderstorm and they could all be down.
right, that's what I kind of thought.
And
So,
but you will have every other road closed in the town if that same thunderstorm. It's not easily predictable.
Okay.
Snow
All right.
and ice would scare me more than anything.
All right, we'll start looking into it. All right, number 5, town park sidewalk realignment. All right, so this is what's happening. The town park committee that was formed when we got the money from Edward Kinzer, we're almost ready. Come on in. It's Carl Baden, Vicky Sirocco, Thayer Jarrell, Jane Kelly, Suzanne Willett, have basically determined that the sidewalk in that little park basically needs to come up and be reconfigured to meet the crosswalk. And it's breaking anyway and has a big dip in it that ices up. So their plans, what they're looking into right now is there's one tree they want to take down, one more tree. It won't be the 2 beautiful flowering, I think those are those cherries or crab apples?
Yeah.
And then there's one extra tree, I think it's a maple. They want to take that down. They want to take down the gazebo. It's not safe. And they're looking into moving the electrical box because it blocks the kind of gate between the barbershop and the old library. So I think Kyle Lougheed has been looking into helping them, advising them on moving it. But the real issue is realigning the sidewalk and getting it to be useful. So I think we've talked about this before.
You really need the sidewalk going through the middle of there anyway. If they're redoing the park, they probably don't need that sidewalk that goes through. Do they want to put a new sidewalk in the middle of the park?
Well, I think so. I think they want it to join up with the crosswalk, which is a little below the light, so that it has a reason to live, And then inside the park, I don't know what else they have envisioned, but that was
I
on there.
don't think we can talk about realigning the sidewalk until we know what the rest of the plan is.
Yeah, 'cause I mean,
And also, what are they expecting from the town? Is $25,000 going to pay for these improvements?
Well, I'm assuming it is. I think one of the questions they
Oh.
had was if they want to realign the sidewalk, will the town help, or would that be a highway? Who would do that?
Well, you know the answer to that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So, no, I'd like to see an overall plan before we piecemeal approve it.
All right.
You're still taking flack from taking the tree down.
Yeah.
And then, and matter of fact, we just checked today to see if the gazebo is still there.
Well, all right.
I'd like to see an overall plan of what they plan on doing.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I will ask them for that. And I asked Ray to just tell me what is involved in changing a sidewalk like that, because he seems to feel that it's not all ours. It's got something to do with the Department of Transportation. So.
Well, if you're going to tear up the old sidewalk on the road, that's theirs.
Yeah.
But the internal one was built by the town.
All right.
There was a plan that was developed by Scott Chase that was the design of that park originally.
All right. He seemed to think that because it met the sidewalk, there was some issue.
Well, when they do the sidewalks, they turn when they finish the construction project, they assign responsibilities to whomever.
Oh, okay.
And if they look on the original construction plans, they would have assigned it to the town.
Okay.
So I don't know if that considers, we're just going to be connecting with it. We're not going to be altering it, I don't believe, but that's what I want to see.
Right.
But there should be a set of reconstruction plans, I believe, in the town hall someplace of that, when they redid the intersection.
Okay,
Okay, big fat roll of plans, and in it, it has an assignment of, I don't forget what they call it, jurisdictional assignments or something. It's
Okay.
like it gives us the responsibility of cleaning the sidewalks and things like that.
all right, great.
But I really want to see, I'd like to see an overall plan. You know, it's a little
All right,
too piecemeal right now.
okay. I
I
will.
agree.
What'd you say, Sarah?
I agree with Don.
Great. Well, maybe invite them in August.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right,
Sure.
great. Okay, John Hughes is here. And, you know, in light of all the stuff that's been going on with police reform, and Thursday, I am going to be on a phone call about police reform with the whole county. It was time to just check in with John on what's going on. I think, Don, you had some questions about how we handle complaints. So,
I have some questions leading up basically to that review that we can expect of our procedures and policies by the,
right, and so
Right,
we'll
the
talk
other
about
county.
that, and then I thought we could go into executive session just to talk about a couple of other things
Right.
to do with the police.
well, I think that the whole complaint issue should be part of the executive session because
Okay,
it's going to be difficult to discuss.
okay. Well, the question really is, how do we handle them, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, we'll go into that. Okay, great. So here's Johnny.
Here's Johnny. 6 foot away?
Yep,
Yep.
Okay.
socially distanced. All right, I'm gonna just like, what's the update? How's it going?
How's it going?
How's it going?
It's been going all right. It's a little bit more, people are a little bit more apt to question the police during vehicle stops or things of that nature. A little more abrasive.
You guys have any questions?
Well, what have you heard, John, about with the sheriff's office or whomever coming and reviewing our policies?
I haven't heard anything.
Oh, okay. I went through our original policy, the one, the standing one that evidently Bob wrote, and
Yeah, that's ancient.
but there's a lot of good information in that.
Mhm.
And do you know where he got that from? I mean, that
I
obviously
think
isn't all.
probably got that way back then from the sheriff's department.
Would they have something similar now?
They may, but the problem with going with their rules and regs is we're really a partner and dispatched by the state police.
Well, you know, I'm looking for something to start with. You know, something of a format.
Well, I imagine the state police have a patrol manual, you know, that you could probably start from.
Yeah, because that one was written more for small police departments, not necessarily for, you know, something as large as that. I mean, we've had the discussions about not having more than one person on duty at a time, and in our town, and our manual now sort of relies on having, you know, at least a supervisor and a patrolman, you know, out there at any one time. So I'm just looking for something that we can start looking at to get an idea how we can update that current manual we have.
I could probably only think of one town that's not full-time other than us, and that would be Millerton. Every other town, Red Hook, Rhinebeck, Hyde Park, everybody's went full-time, so.
Yeah. No, that basically was where I was, you know, wondering about, is because there, as I say, there's a lot of good information. It has been updated to a certain amount, but there is it is the existing policy and procedures that we have in place right now.
Yeah.
And as such, until it's replaced, I have a feeling that that's actually it. So if
Yeah,
they
a
were to
lot of
come and say,
there's a
If
lot
they
of
were to
things
come
that
and
don't
say that-
pertain anymore, but then there is a lot of things that still do, you know, there's still a good direction there.
Right. But I mean, we really have to use that now until it's replaced. If they were to come up and say, we would like to see your policy and procedures manual on how you deal with certain issues, that's all
Yeah.
we've got.
We'd have to reflect on that.
Yeah. And that's one of the issues about how we deal with people who make a complaint to the department about the department, or even just through our ethics code. So
Well,
those are my thoughts right now. I was hoping to be able to find something to at least compare it to.
yeah, I don't know what you would compare it to. I mean, I could get another departments probably, and we could look at it, but they're going to have full-time employees there, so I don't know how
Yeah,
much of that
right.
is. They're always going to have a sergeant on or a supervisor on, like you say, with you know, 3 or 4 patrolmen or 2
Yeah,
patrolmen.
exactly. It doesn't deal with a part-time police force.
No,
I don't know, Dara, do we have any, could we talk to the county executive's office and see if they can offer some insight through the sheriff's office?
Yeah, I can definitely,
Hmm.
well, we're gonna have this meeting on Thursday, and I'm sure that I can bring it up at the meeting, because Ken Roman is gonna be running this, and he's in charge of all that for the county, so I can certainly bring it up on Thursday and see what they say.
I would appreciate it if you did do that.
Okay. All right. Anything else before we go into executive session? Okay, I'm gonna, you know what, we should adjourn before we go into executive session so that Judy can get off the computer.
Judy, I'll make a motion that-
Well, I'll make a motion that we go into executive session.
And then
Regarding,
we need to adjourn the meeting before we go into it so that
I need to know why you're going into executive session.
we're going into executive session to talk with John Hughes about police business.
Okay, thank you. And the second was from
Me,
Sarah,
no, Sarah, whoever.
whatever.
Sarah.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, bring us back and adjourn.
I'll bring us back and then
Matt and
we
Sarah
can't come
brought us
back.
back and
I
adjourned.
could come back. Yeah, and while we
We
adjourn.
can't come back, so we're gonna adjourn now.
Yeah.
Okay, ahead of time?
Adjourning.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye. All right, thank you,
And-
everybody. I'm going to stop the.
Rory never showed up.